All right, everybody, welcome into 5-Star Live, Week 3 edition right here at Fulton High School, where Powell, the Panthers, moved to 3-0 with a 34-0 victory over the Fulton Falcons. And Jaywan Mitchell joins me back from his gig with TV. You're so big time now. It's so happy to have you back, man. How's it going?
Man, it's going great, man. I wouldn't say I'm big time,
You're
but
big time.
I appreciate your help and connecting me with some nice people. WBR, it was fun.
Yeah, so you're back here this week. You got to see Powell, Fulton. Just your initial thoughts before we get to the player and coach interview.
My initial thoughts were, this was definitely Powell's game. They all their skilled players, they were pretty much able to get whatever they want out there. The score would have been a lot higher if they didn't have so many penalties and bring back so many of their key plays that they made. But they were still able to do and establish what they want, whether it was on the ground or in the air. And, they just had fun out there.
Fulton, I thought, did a good job in the first half. It was just 14-0. I thought their defense came to play, but they just, offensively, they're not to the point where they can contend with the Powell yet.
No, and I totally agree with you. I feel like their defense was their anchor. You know what I mean? They did a great job of holding Powell down and not allowing them to make those big plays. They had a few big plays within the, within the game, kind of rush it down the field. But for the most part, they wouldn't let them get that big play, that big end zone play. Like you said, it would have been just 7-0 before the half if Adarius Redmond didn't make that big-time play in the end zone, scoring that touchdown right before the half.
We got to see Jordan Brown, number 7 for Powell, get his legs stretched out tonight. Had a touchdown called back because of penalty, like you mentioned. He had another possible touchdown. He drops the ball inexplicably, just wide open going into the end zone.
I think he was trying to switch hands on that play, and then it just fumbled out of nowhere. He was just lucky. Like you said, the defense showed up for him big time. The offense just wasn't really able to get.
He had 2 offensive linemen out tonight injured. He had one of his better skill players out tonight injured. We see a missed first half field goal there for Fulton. Just a tough go of it so far starting out for Fulton.
Yeah, it's like I was discussing this with a couple of guys that just were watching the game, spectators or whatever, and they were just like, Fulton are just missing 2 or 3 key players, skilled guys that could just really help them come over the top. They don't really have that premier running back. They don't really have that big-time premier wide receiver who, like you said, Sweat could just get the ball to and watch them do something with it. They have skilled players, but they're just not there yet. They're so young, sophomores and freshmen, they don't really have a whole lot to work with, unfortunately.
Fulton 0-3 for the first time since 2011. And, Jaywan, we're going to get you out of here just for a second and get Matt Lowe in. Here comes Matt. So you're going to hand off the rock to Matt?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just hop on in there.
Yeah.
Matt Lowe joins us, Victoria's head coach at Powell High School. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
So 34-0, 14-0 at the half. A lot of yellow flags hit the field tonight. Really kind of hindered your guys' momentum.
Well, it was, and bottom line, we got to go back and we got to clean that stuff up. We got to figure out what's causing that. Sometimes when it's aggressive penalties, they're okay, but at the same time, if it's it's things that we can control and we've got to be able to control down the road, we got to clean that stuff up. But just extremely proud of my guys, and especially my guys at the line of scrimmage and the way they controlled the line of scrimmage.
5-Star Preps went up to Clarksville, Tennessee this summer to watch the Tennessee-Kentucky Futures game at Austin Peay State. One of the guys that we saw, Adarius Redmond, a freshman, coming to Powell. Tonight was really his breakout game. We'd been waiting for it. You could see flashes through the first couple of weeks, but 2 touchdowns for him tonight. Had another bomb there in the second half to set up a third. How much can this boost his confidence and you guys continue to incorporate him in the offense?
Well, the kid's unbelievably talented. Obviously he's got God-given abilities. He can do some things. He's a long-rangey kid who can run, but, at the same time, you've got to have that first game or that first big game to really start to accelerate and to be able to do the things that you can do on a daily basis. We knew they were there. We've seen him in practice. We've seen him going one-on-one with some of our, junior and senior defensive backs and some of the things he's done. What he does now is give us a great compliment to Tyler Kirkus on the other side. He gives us a great compliment compliment to a couple of slot receivers that are making plays. Not to mention, we're doing okay running the football right now too.
Yeah, Jared, if we can, let's roll some highlights from tonight. Since we got Coach up here, I want him to break down some of these plays that we got to see tonight. So we're going to start out. You guys had an early fumble, and this is the second fumble of the first quarter. Was there a reason for it? Was he just trying to make
tough to fault a kid who's trying to make something big happen, trying to give his team a spark. And so
giving your guys some trouble?
well, I think they do a good job at the point of attack. And then in the secondary, they were mixing up some stuff. They've got some kids that can play back there, and they were doing a good job of mixing. A lot of it goes back to that offensive line. Once you can kind of control the line of scrimmage.
Multiple running backs that you guys are using with McIntosh and Hughes. We even got to see Jordan Brown tonight really get his legs stretched out. Just because Fernando Francis isn't out there, you guys still have a lot of ability in the backfield.
We do. Maybe sometimes the guys are extremely talented, and each of them brings something a little different to the table, but they're doing a great job running behind that offensive line.
What did you see in Jordan Brown that said, hey, we can use this guy in the backfield some?
Well, no, I mean, he's always kind of played running back for us. He's just been one of those guys that's been a 2 or a 3, played a little bit last year when we had some spots, but he's really matured this year. A lot of it's protecting the ball, but seeing that 1 foot cut. And, that's something he brings. Corion McIntosh is certainly the biggest of the 3 running backs, and he does a good job of getting downhill. And then, Baylor Hughes is certainly the combo guy. He's a 205-pounder, but he's also the fastest kid on the team.
Somebody asked me on Twitter tonight, just before you came over here, how legit, how good is Powell? And I said, they're nowhere near a finished product. Where in your mind is this football team? You still got some freshmen out there. You got a senior quarterback, but you guys are 3-0 with a chance to go to 4-0 next week. Where in your mind is this football team?
Well, we've taken the steps we need to take to this point, but bottom line, it's a long season. Everybody's going to continue to get better. We've got to continue to get better on a daily basis. A lot of our conversation with our kids doesn't have anything to do with down the road. It's about today. It's about the next play. It's about constant improvement. We've got to find things that we're messing up on, and we've got to turn around. We've got to get those fixed for the future.
Yep. All right. Well, Coach, I appreciate you joining us tonight here on 5 Star Live. Your first appearance. I hope to have you on here on down the line.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Bright, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. There'll be some bugs dive bombing on you here soon. But go ahead and pass that mic off to our player of the game, Darius Redmond, number 9, the freshman from Powell High School. Darius, congratulations on the win so far, and just a freshman at Powell High School. What's this feel like to have a couple touchdowns tonight and get this rivalry win?
Thank you, and I feel good. First, I got to thank my teammates, and also, the first games, I wasn't open or nothing. I didn't get no balls. I had to be patient and wait this game.
You come into high school as a freshman, you got a senior quarterback, and what did you do to try to learn the offense quickly, make sure that you can get out there on the field?
I just had
Coach telling you to talk a little louder.
I had to just go over the plays when they gave me little playbooks and stuff, and I had to keep going to practice and working hard.
So tonight, a couple touchdowns. You set up a third touchdown with a deep bomb there in the second half, and to be able to make plays on this level, you've had to probably kind of learn from the best. Who are guys maybe you looked up to growing up, whether it's college or pros, to kind of model your game after?
Well, at first I started off as a linebacker, so I looked up to Ray Lewis. Then now I like Odell Beckham, so I watch all his highlights.
So going forward, again, just a freshman, I know there's things that you want to improve on. What are a couple things that you want to see yourself do better in the next few weeks?
At my routes and my catching.
What don't you like about your routes and catches? Just not crisp enough yet, or?
No, I just got to keep working harder until I get perfect.
So he wants to keep working harder. The guy that couldn't be covered tonight. I saw you beat double coverage, I think, on that second touchdown, and, of course, the deep ball there. Going forward, what's the key to success for Powell High School these next few weeks?
Keep working and thank your teammates, and the penalties need to stop and chill down.
Yeah, penalties were a problem tonight. I know you guys will fix that in the coming weeks. So congratulations, Darius Redmond is our 5-star live player of the game. 2 touchdowns tonight and another big catch there to set up a 3rd touchdown. Just a freshman. We've been telling you guys about him and a number of other freshmen in this area this year on 5starpreps.com. If you're a subscriber, you already know about this guy, but people are going to be seeing his name for the next 4 years. Darius, I'm going to shake your hand, and we're going to pass the mic off to J1 over there. So congratulations again.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks to Powell High School for sticking around after that 34-0 win tonight. And, Jared, let's go ahead and roll all those highlights from tonight, even deep into the second half, and we'll talk about the game a little bit more before we catch our first break and start looking around the area. J1, X's and O's wise, that's what I want you here for. You play the game in college, you know about the game more than I do. Did you see anything out there scheme-wise, trend-wise that caught your eye tonight?
I would say here and there on the ground, and that's what kind of opened it up from there. And then Fulton, they were trying to get their wide receivers going, with short plays from the outside and kind of stretch out Powell's defense, but those guys were pretty quick, and so they were able to get to him pretty fast. And those long passes east and west, that kind of gives the defense time to react, you know what I'm saying? If they could have got a lot of stuff in the middle, getting going upfield quickly, I think they could have been a little more successful, and maybe they could have found their rhythm that way. That's how I see it.
Were you mentally prepared enough to play as a freshman? Powell's got 3 or 4 receivers out there that are freshmen and having to learn that offense. And Matt Lowe is a brilliant offensive mind, and he's got Josh Jones there running the offense too. But to go into that situation as a freshman, looking back to where you were as a 14-year-old, do you think you could have done what these guys are doing?
Yes.
Come on.
I'm telling you, I'm not trying to say that in an arrogant way, but you just have to understand, the way that me and the guys that I played with, like Calvin Walker, Carson Brooks, Osmond, all those guys, I don't know if you guys know them.
Shout out Kyle Walker, Carson Brooks.
Yeah, so, Christian Bozeman, those guys, we grew up playing. I myself grew up playing an age group ahead of my actual age group. So I was playing with older guys, and so once I got with my age group, it was like nothing for me. You know what I mean? So even in practices with West football, you can ask my guy Coach Hale. I would go up against the senior cornerbacks and safeties, and I was able to make plays on them.
Okay.
And so I was ready for that moment, but unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity. But I would have loved it. I would have loved it.
Well, these guys, Darius set up here. He doesn't look like a freshman. That was the first thing I noticed when we went to the Futures game. They're warming up, and I told Danny Parker, our photographer, said, look at that kid.
Yeah,
There's no way that kid is an 8th grader going into the 9th grade.
You wouldn't think that at all.
And to see him finally break out tonight, that's what we've been waiting on since we saw him back in early June. And I think you'll see a lot more of that in the coming weeks for Powell. As they go to Carnes next week, should get a win there. Carnes is struggling to even put points on the board. Wow. As for Fulton, big game coming up against Austin East.
Yeah,
and Austin East,
game. No matter how much each team is struggling, what they're going through, that's a rivalry game that you can never just sleep on.
Austin East got its first win tonight, 34-22 over Kingston, so they finally put points on the board after going goose egg the first 2 weeks. Fulton, again, 2 offensive linemen were out tonight.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Riddle, one of its skill players, who's the backup quarterback, he's still out.
Yeah.
Hasn't played this year.
They're hurt a lot.
I look over on the sideline in the fourth quarter. Yeah. They got 6 or 7 guys getting treatment.
Yeah, and they're already just low on players. They're not really stacked like they have been in the past. So that hurts them.
Yep, so we'll see what Fulton can do next week against rival Austin East. Fulton 0-3 again for the first time since 2011. Powell 3-0 are one of our top 10 teams on 5-star preps. Let's catch a break, and we'll come back and talk some more about some of the area games in the 5-star preps coverage area. Stay with us right here on 5-Star Live.
The The 5-Star Prepped Play of the Week is brought to you by SmartBank. Play smart. Bank smart. SmartBank. For more information, visit smartbank.com.
Into 5-Star Live, joined by J1 Mitchell, former West High School standout, former collegiate product. It's good? We good? All right. So let's start off. Sorry, let me run that back. Jesse Smithy here, 5-Star Live here in week 3. All right, cool. Back with J1 Mitchell, former West High School standout. And we're here at at Fulton High School, where Powell just notched a 34-0 victory over Fulton. We recapped all that in the first segment, so thanks for joining us here in segment 2. Let's look around the area tonight, starting off with Catholic High School. They're in Nashville tonight after picking up a big win at Fort Thomas Highlands in Kentucky last week on a couple minutes left on a touchdown run by Keandre Jarman. Tonight, they take a 7-0 lead on the road in Nashville at Innsworth. This is their first Division II AAA game. Jack Jancic, quarterback, powers in from there. Look at the motion. He knows how big this moment is. He knows how big this game is for Catholic. All off season, they've heard doubts about can this team contend in Division II AAA, and we're starting to see it tonight. Currently, Jancic has just scored on an option for an 11-yard run. 9:31 to go in the fourth quarter. Catholic trails 26-21. Jancic 3 touchdown runs tonight, but this is big for Catholic to see if they can hang with these big boys out in Division II.
Yeah, like you said, that's a big test, especially going far away from home. And like you said, they started out down, and it looks like they're slowly chugging away. They're getting their rhythm. They're getting comfortable in this situation.
So just to know that they can hang with a program like Innsworth is I think going to be key for Catholic going forward. They got big games coming up with Brentwood Academy and some of the big boys like Baylor and McCallie. So we'll see if Catholic can rally in that game tonight. Currently down in the fourth quarter, 26-21. We'll try to keep you updated on that. But
definitely a big test.
Yeah,
for them,
big test for them. Halls High School goes to 3-0 for the first time since the late 90s. Your boy is up there, Scott Cummings, working miracles already. And we try to go back through all the past seasons and figure out when the last time was when Halls started 3-0. They went to the state championship game in 1996, started off 14-0, lost that game in 96 in the final. The next year they were 8-2 going into the 97 playoff. So we think it's in that obviously 96-97 range that Halls is 3-0. And man, I don't think anybody saw this coming from Coach Cummings and Halls in his first year.
No, I don't think so either. It's a major surprise to do something with a team like Halls, like you said, who hasn't really been successful in football at all. I don't remember, especially when I played, never really hearing anything.
No, I mean, they've had decent seasons, but it's always a first or second round playoff loss.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So hopefully they can continue to build off this momentum, continue to buy in what Coach Cummings is telling these guys to do, because that's what's making them successful. So hopefully they can continue to ride that wagon.
Oak Ridge gets its first win of the year, 40-0 over Campbell County, and there were a lot of people that were doubting whether Oak Ridge could go on the road and win this game. They were only averaging 6 points per game. Their offense had not been clicking at all tonight. Isaiah Johnson, 3 touchdowns through the air in terms of receiving, 2 interceptions on defense. And when you got a player like that that's going to put up a performance like that, you're going to win us a lot of football games.
Oh, yeah. You definitely want to ride off of his coattail and go off of that momentum that he's bringing you. that's big time to show up, especially in the third game. As the season gets forward, you kind of want to establish your footing early, so that the momentum into the season will go well for you.
So we'll see if this young man Isaiah Johnson will be a name that pops up here and there throughout the season. They need a playmaker. Again, they only averaged 6 points in those 2 losses in weeks 1 and week 2. So 40-0 win tonight for Oak Ridge over Campbell County. We mentioned Hall's 34-26 over Clinton. Hardin Valley Academy might have been one of the bigger storylines coming into week 3 as their former coach, Wes Jones, who helped create the program from the start. He resigned in spring to go up to Johnson City to be an assistant coach at Science Hill. Science Hill comes to town, and last I checked, Science Hill was putting them on him.
Oh, wow. That's unfortunate, but it happens like that.
It happens.
You leave like that, and then, you think you'll be up for that game. Your team will be up for that game, but it seems like they're the better opponent in this situation.
One of the things to keep an eye on with Hardin Valley going forward, Jalen Moore, big-time defensive end product there, college prospect type of player. Did not play tonight from reports that I heard, so we'll try to keep you guys abreast of that on 5starpreps.com. As the week progresses, check in with Mike Potter, the head coach there, and see what the issue is with Jalen Moore. But when you don't have a guy like that on the field, it's really a big setback for the Hardin Valley team. They're now 1-2 and losing some momentum after that week 1 win over Oak Ridge.
Yeah, that
all right.
really hurts.
Yeah, Jalen, let's talk, or not Jalen, Juwan, let's talk about Greenville. Greenville is a team that we saw in week 1 against Powell. Drew Gregg is their quarterback. He comes in from Catholic, starts that first game, and the offense is just stagnant. During the offseason, they also got a player from Science Hill named A.J. Stewart, a quarterback there, a dual threat type of guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call him Michael Vick. He's like Michael
So
Vick.
he's no.
He's like Vic Light.
All right,
He's
cool.
like
All right,
he's
cool.
like Diet Vic.
All right, okay.
He's like Diet Vic, and so much smaller guy. But in the first half against Powell, he caught an interception, and you could see his juke ability, his speed, his elusiveness. And I'm going, look, Greenville's offense is not producing. Put this guy under center, give him some type of wildcat package. And, Jared, let's see what they're looking at tonight. Here's what happens. Look who's back there. A.J. Stewart catching balls on offense. Get him the ball somehow. I mean, that guy has to be part of the offense. He goes in there and gets, I think, a couple touchdowns tonight for Greenville. Their backup quarterback still leading the offense. But A.J. Stewart, if Greenville's going to have any chance of winning a 3rd consecutive state championship, they got to have playmakers.
Oh, yeah, you got to have playmakers, and you got to find ways to get them the ball, no matter what it is, whether it's on the ground, whether it's in the air, or whether it's, like you said, having him control the offense. But it's a good thing that Greenville figured it out. Like, okay, we got to get this guy the ball. You always want to get your playmakers the ball and let them just give them the ball and let them do their thing. That's what they naturally do. Let them do their thing.
So that'll be something to keep an eye on with Greenville moving forward. They get a big win tonight over Union County. They still hadn't lost a region game since, I think, 1942, something like that. I just made that up. South Doyle's quarterback, Mason Brang, leaves the game tonight with a leg injury.
Wow.
Prep Extra is at that game. They first reported it. I texted a few people at that South Doyle Gibbs game. They said it did not look good. When you have a program like South Doyle who's in the top 5 in 5-star preps and they got Division I talent all around you, when your senior quarterback comes down, there's a brief moment of panic.
That's devastating. That's devastating because, like you say, these guys have built chemistry with this guy. This guy is their veteran who runs the offense. You can't really do a lot much at all without a quarterback, and especially he's your starting quarterback, your senior quarterback. That's going to hurt you a lot.
So, the backup came in. I believe his last name is Martin. Let me see. Yeah, Nick Martin, just a sophomore. He comes back in. They still put a ton of points on the board.
That's good.
But let's hope that Mason Brang is okay because they have such high expectations at South Doyle. They're one of those teams in 5A that could be state title contenders, along with Powell, along with West. Maybe Oak Ridge gets back into it. Central won big again tonight. And so we'll see. We'll kind of monitor that situation with South Doyle. But definitely unfortunate that Mason Brang got that leg injury tonight. He did not return and pop back up. So we'll see what that happens with that going forward. Maryville tonight, T. Hodge. gets an ankle injury. T. Hodge, remember, is a Tennessee commitment. Their big running back out at Maryville High School. They still win easily, and Kay Chambers has a couple touchdown passes, and I think T. Hodge had a short yardage touchdown run, as he is prone to do, but he left with some type of ankle injury. The shoe came off, and I don't think he returned. So Maryville still has plenty of weapons with Parker McGill and a ton of receivers, but T. Hodge, a guy that was hurt in the playoffs during their semifinal loss, you don't want to see him getting hurt right now.
No, you definitely don't want to see him getting hurt, especially at the start of the season where you want to get your footing, you want to establish what kind of team you are and keep things rolling. And especially, hopefully it's a minor injury where he can recover quickly. And, you know, you never want things to affect, you know what I'm saying, you committed already or you got someone looking at you. You don't want that to affect your scholarship. So hopefully he can recover quickly.
Yeah, Mason's just one of those gamers, one of those game managers that knows how to distribute the ball to the guys at the right time and can make plays on it with his legs and his arms. And is he an Elite 11 quarterback? No. Is he an SEC quarterback? No. But he's a really good high school quarterback who can manage a game and manage a program and lead them far. So
just knows how to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So best wishes to Mason Brang, and hopefully, like J1 said, it's not as bad as it seems. All right, before we take a break, let's get to last night's game, Thursday night, rivalry Thursday. Morristown West goes to Jefferson County. Jefferson County has not started 3-0 since 2003. Wow. They had not beaten their rival Morristown West since 2007. So there was a lot at stake in that game last night, and a great atmosphere in Jefferson County. One of the bigger 6A schools in the state was able to get that win, 28-20. And Jared, we good with highlights on that one? All right, we'll run those here. And beautiful new turf field at Jefferson County. Number 3, Tanner Atkins, their quarterback, really propelled them to a win in that game. And he was a guy that we wrote about on 5starpreps.com in the preseason about his running ability and about his throwing ability. And just did another show last night. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground and led Jefferson County to a win. You guys ever play Jefferson County in high school?
Not in football, but I remember playing them once in basketball. Okay. We went up to visit them.
Spencer Riley is the head coach, former Tennessee Vol during their national championship year, and he has this program in very good shape. 3-0, they get that win. Some kind of squirrely things happen. They decide to go for 2 late, didn't get it, and the next thing you know, some things come unfurled. Morristown West gets back in it, but Jefferson County has some nice talent there. I'm not saying they're up to the standard of a Maryville, but this is a team that I think could possibly have a nice season going forward. And so we'll keep an eye on Jefferson County. You see their softball team that won a state championship. They got their rings. Morristown West kicker, very, very good. Villasenor, I believe is his name. Kept them in it, made all of his PATs and whatnot. But congratulations to Jefferson County on their 3-0 start. Again, first since 2003, knocked off Morristown West for the first time since 2007. And, man, to snap a streak like that to your biggest rival, it's got to feel good.
Oh, that's big time. You know, make up for all those years where you kind of been down, and then that builds momentum going into your season. If you can beat a rivalry team like that and go forward, that gives you a lot of confidence as a team.
All right, let's catch our second break, our last break of the night. Thanks for joining us here on 5 Star Live right here at Fulton High School, where Powell won 34-0. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back, look around the area, talk about some more players coming up before we sign off. Welcome back to 5 Star Live. Somebody's squealing out some tires there. That's why I love live shows like this. Is anything weird can happen.
Yeah, you pick up a lot of stuff, man.
So, hey, before we get to some things, shout out to our player of the week, Troy Davis from Gibbs High School. He'll get one of those 5-Star Preps mini helmets from Smith Built Homes. I'll deliver that to their school sometime this coming week, but the Gibbs fans came out in droves to vote for him, and certainly deserving of that. They had a big win a week ago. Student section of the week was none other than Fulton High School tonight. They came to 5starpreps.com. They outvoted Powell. That was the only win they got tonight.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they didn't have much to cheer for, but did a good job voting. So shout out to Fulton High School and their student section for being our South College student section of the week. They got some 5-Star Prep stickers. They got some headbands. They got some T-shirts. They got a hat. Let's see what else we gave them. I don't even remember, but
Well, at least
so,
they didn't go empty-handed. Like
so
you
I mean,
said.
that's what we try to do. I mean, there's so many player of the week polls and student section of the week stuff, and they don't get anything. So we encourage people to come to 5starpreps.com and vote, because your winners actually get things to keep. So
yeah, that's encouraging. You know, you're gonna get something out of it. You know what I'm saying? That encourages them to vote. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, the mini helmets
So
are
that
pretty.
was a good idea. Whoever came up with that was genius.
Thank you. Hey, shout out Mark Whiteman, my boy over at WATE. He announced on Twitter tonight that after 4 years in Knoxville, he's going to be leaving to go be the sports director over in Greenville, South Carolina. If you don't watch WATE on Friday nights at 11:10, 11:15, you need to. That guy is high energy, loves sports, and just, man, he's been a good friend. And I tell people all the time that I've loved working alongside WATE because they're all young. They put in a ton of time and energy. They have no egos, and it's been refreshing to work alongside Mark Whiteman and Marshall Hughes and Jordan Kramer over at WAT. And Knoxville's definitely going to miss Mark Whiteman as he leaves for bigger and greener pastures over in South Carolina. He's told me he's going to get to cover Clemson.
Wow.
He's going to get to cover George Quarles, the former Maryville coach, who's offensive coordinator at Furman. He'll
That's
cover
big time,
South
man.
Carolina football, and I don't know if those girls screaming are George Quarles fans or whatever, but so shout out Mark Whiteman. All right, let's replay our Smart Bank Smart Play of the Week.
The 5-Star Preps Play of the Week is brought to you by Smart Bank. Play smart. Bank smart. Smart Bank. For more information, visit smartbank.com.
Receiver at Powell High School, 2 touchdown catches tonight. Had another huge one there, I think in the third or fourth quarter, that got them down inside the red zone. Your thoughts on Adarius Redmond?
Oh, man, he's a big-time guy. He makes big-time plays, and he doesn't seem scared of the moment. Like you say, as a freshman, it is shocking to see how he was able to step up in those moments. Like I said, Powell had a lot of penalties where before he made those big plays, they had big-time plays that were called back, but he was just able to step up and just gain everything. Like, it didn't even matter that those plays weren't nullified because he just came back and just made things happen for his team.
It's so funny. He's a freshman. He got up here. He's probably not very comfortable. You can barely hear him talk.
Yeah.
In 2 years' time, he'll be just like me and you up here. And
I was thinking the same thing watching him, and I knew I could kind of see it when I went to go get him, grab him for the interview, and he was standing here. I could tell he was kind of nervous, and I was trying to give him a pep talk, you know.
Yeah.
As a former player, I was trying to give him a pep talk and say, hey, man, just be comfortable. We have fun and be light. But he'll get used to it. He'll be used to the moment.
Yeah.
And he'll
They got to
fine.
start somewhere, man. They got to start doing these interviews somewhere. And like I said, by the time he's a junior, he'll be a pro at it. The story I tell the most about interviews, you remember Harrison Smith, former Catholic standout, Mr. Football, goes up to Notre Dame. He's probably going to be a future Hall of Famer with the Minnesota Vikings, one of the best safeties around. He was brutal. He was brutal in post-game interviews. I mean, this is a guy who's very intelligent, but just could not articulate his thoughts. And now he's one of the best.
Wow.
It's just repetitions like anything. So,
Repetition and learning experience.
but I used to avoid Harrison Smith. I'd go talk to
Really?
anybody.
It was that
It
bad?
was that bad. And I saw a video with Harrison at Notre Dame, and I sent him a text, and I said, "Man, you finally got better at interviews. I'm proud of you." And that's what I like about seeing these young cats come through and getting the camera in their face and them growing, not only just on the football field, but rounding into a person and being able to talk and communicate. Darius will be one to watch here in the future.
Yeah, like you say, I'm sure it's awesome to see the development. You see them from young cats, then they're veterans, and they move on, and you just see them just, you know what I'm saying, be successful and learn and do better things. That's big time.
Hey, let's take a look around the area on some scores. Alcoa 42-0 win over Scott. Anderson County big win over Hickson 56-14. They bounced back from that week 2 Powell loss. Austin East again finally gets their first win. Put points on the board. That's got to feel good for Trey Foster, the quarterback, and that group of Roadrunners. 34-22 over Kingston. Scrolling down, Coalfield knocks off Harriman 36-7. Gatlinburg-Pittman, a team that I'm going to keep telling you about in 3A. I really think they'll be the number 2 seed over Austin East, behind Alcoa coming out of that region. A lot of size, a lot of power. I know Bryce Akey got some touchdowns tonight for GP. One to watch going forward. Greenback, they were winning 40-0 in the first quarter.
Wow.
I don't know if how is that possible? I don't know how that's possible, but
They made it happen.
they win 61-20 over Sunbright, get their first win of the season. Greenville, again, cruises over Union County 56-0. We saw A.J. Stewart, the transfer from Science Hill, get some reps on offense. Need to keep working him in, get that dynamic playmaker, and Greenville's going to be back to what they were a season ago. Carter gets the win 27-7 over Seymour's. They pick up their first win of the year. Kings Academy first win 48-7 over Franklin Grace. Central High School wins again 55-13. Halls High School, again, 3-0. The Red Devils, momentum up there. They inducted their first Hall of Fame class. Scott Cummings. What's it like playing for Scott Cummings?
Man, it's a lot of energy. You know, he's a great coach, man. He's a loving coach, you know what I mean? He develops relationships with the players, and he really cares about you, you know? And so he's a fun guy to play with.
I told you we'd keep you updated on that Catholic game. They lose that game at Innsworth 33-28. Wow. Come up short there in the fourth quarter. And so, again, the question mark for Catholic going into this year was, could they compete in Division II AAA? Didn't win tonight. Showed people they could compete, though.
Yeah, they showed that they could compete, and they showed that they were willing to fight and not just give up when they're down. And unfortunately, they came up short, and I know that hurts, but I think that'll help them in the long run, because they will, if they hate that feeling, then they'll be successful, be able to move forward.
So they could really shock I'm not going to say the world, but the state here in a couple of weeks when Brentwood Academy comes to town. Thursday night game on ESPN2. So that'll be their redemption chance to kind of get people believing in them again as a state title contender. Looking on down the scoreboard, West High School moves to 3-0, 45-0. I know you're happy about that.
Let's go, West Rebels.
Maybe we see them next week. They got a big game coming up, so maybe we see them. Oak Ridge again, 40-0. Isaiah Johnson, 3 touchdowns, receiving, 2 interceptions on defense. Powell High School, 34-0 over Fulton.
Can't be saying that, Jesse, man.
Can't say what?
Cover, man, because you get me excited, man. You know, I love to cover my school. Man.
Yeah, so I don't know. We got to see them beat Farragut in week 2, and we had Isaiah Mattress up here. We had Lamar Brown up here. So they're a team that's in my top 5 right now, playing well.
Hey, that sounds good, looking good. You know, I've spent a lot of time around them. They got a lot of skilled players, and what I've seen is they're very disciplined. You know, I haven't seen them with a lot of penalties and stuff like that. So we see what they can keep doing going forward. That
Maryville-Alcoa game next week is actually on a Thursday night, so we can't do 5-Star Live. We were talking about that before we went live about should we do this next week at Maryville-Alcoa.
That would have been big.
And all the chaos and just madness that's out there. I told you when Alcoa beat them last year at Maryville's field, it was like the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I saw Gary Rankin, a guy who leads Tennessee in all-time victories. You would think those games don't mean anything to him anymore. He was out there hugging coaches. Like, I just kept waiting for confetti to fall out of the sky, and just trying to get one interview was difficult. And so we'll see.
That's like one of those games where it's just a regular season game, doesn't really mean a lot. But after they win, it's like they're throwing Gatorade and water on the coach. He's like, bro, are you serious right now?
But that game means everything in Blount County. You're talking about Alcoa, 17 state titles. You're talking about Maryville, 16 state titles. Maryville, the big brother, the 6A school. Alcoa, the 3A school.
And it makes a lot of sense because, like you said, they're that close together, just down the street from each other. And I can understand it being highly competitive because both of those teams, like you say, Maryville has always been stacked. Alcoa has always been stacked and recruited great. So I get it. So
that game will be one to watch on Thursday as Alcoa tries to knock them off again. And Alcoa, our number 1 team in 5-star preps, love their line play, love their skill guys. Sam Valton, their quarterback, first year starting, off to a very good start. He's doing well. Big 6'3" guy, about 200 pounds, can run it, can throw it. Looking ahead, Bearden hosts Bradley Central. Bradley Central beat down somebody tonight. Very difficult matchup there for Bearden. Another rivalry game, Fulton, Austin East. We talked about that. I want to see this rivalry game, even though they're both struggling, I want to see it back to where the communities for both Fulton and Austin East come out in droves, and it's just wild.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That even as a kid, I always thought I was going to be a Fulton guy, but I'm so glad that I ended up being a Rebel. But those two games, that game right there is the game that everybody always got up for. You know, it was always a lot of people and always people watching, and that atmosphere was just awesome. Just the competitiveness, you know what I'm saying? Always looking for it to be a close game, and like you said, I'm looking for them to bring that tradition back in that same atmosphere.
I talked to a guy who'd stopped out at Austin East earlier tonight, and I said, "What was the crowd like?" And he goes, "You know, man, just typical Austin East." And I hate hearing that because the band gets everybody hyped. They always got good food, and there's good people in that community. So Austin East fans, Fulton fans, y'all get your stuff together, get out there, pay over that money for a ticket, and get in there and support the teams and make it wild again.
Yeah, we're looking for y'all to bring it back to where it's supposed to be, man.
Absolutely. West High School 3-0 against Jefferson County. We just saw highlights of them 3-0 next week.
Man,
that's got to be where we go, I think.
I think that's a good one. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to argue with you. I would love that.
Last big game coming up next week. Farragut coming off of a bye week this week in week 3 will go to Oak Ridge. Just got their first win of the season, put up 40 points tonight in that 40-0 win over Campbell County. So we'll see if Farragut can kind of continue some momentum. They lost in week 2 to West High School, so not continue momentum, but kind of manufacture new momentum. Oak Ridge. Look at some highlights from West and Farragut just a couple weeks ago in week 2, and Farragut was right there on the cusp of winning that game, and Isaiah Mattress, who you're going to see right here, bulls his way in for a touchdown. I hate that I didn't have that 90-yard touchdown run. I didn't expect it. It was you were doing TV.
Yeah, I was with
so West was West is back up against his own goal line. Couple minutes left. I figured they're going to run up the middle 2 or 3 times. They're going to punt, put it into Tyrese Edwards' hands, put it into Drew Francis, the Arkansas commits on defense for West, and they did not do that. Isaiah Mattress took it around and left in, and he was gone. And that guy is big, that guy is fast, and he's going to be a load for Jefferson County.
And he's strong.
He's very, very strong.
I understand it because I was at the West and Bearden game, and how it was back and forth. And it looked like West should have been taken off with that game easily. But my point is that last touchdown in overtime by the freshman wide receiver, that was unexpected. You know what I mean? So West is that kind of team where they have a lot of key players, a lot of skilled players that can make plays at any time. And you just can't be caught sleeping, man.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in 5A. Again, Mason Braying, the quarterback at South Doyle, injured in tonight's game, leg injury. I was told it did not look good. We'll see what kind of comes out of that. I'm sure some swelling has to go down before they can actually get in there and see what happened to his leg. So best wishes to Mason Braying. South Doyle, one of those teams in 5A that could do some things. West is one of those teams in 5A that could do some things. We saw Powell win tonight 34-0. We talked with Matt Lowe. We talked with Darius Redmond. And so Central kind of, even though they're the defending state champions, not really maybe getting the respect that they deserve in that conversation. Bryson Rosser, a terrific coach, terrific offensive mind. We'll see if he can kind of thrust Central back into that conversation here later in the season. Some big games coming up. All right, J1, any lasting thoughts from tonight's game, Powell and Fulton? Just real quick before we sign off.
I really don't have much, but hopefully, you know, Fulton's a young team. You know, they lost a lot of seniors, a lot of veterans. They might not be that team to watch this year, but hopefully in the upcoming seasons they can do a lot better.
Yep.
Powell, they look like, you know, this is their year this year. I was talking to, I don't know if he was like an athletic director or something, but I was talking to one of the guys over there at Powell, and he was just saying, you know, a lot of the guys that are veterans this year grew up playing together, and so this has to be their year because they're going to lose a lot of guys next year too.
Well, they also, I mean, they still have those freshmen coming back next year, and they got a young man with the last name Potts who could be the quarterback of the future there. So it's
is
not.
Is that number 8?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, so not all not all
No,
bleak.
it won't be
yeah,
all bad.
I
It
still
won't be
think
all
there's
bad.
there's opportunity for them to possibly win in the future. But I was really impressed by the try, the effort from Fulton tonight.
I agree with you.
I saw
Yeah.
Tommy Sweat on offense get tackled onto the track here, get up, dust off his pants, limp back onto the field, and then go out and play safety.
Oh, those guys are tough.
Yeah.
The heart and the will, that's not even in question.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, they just missing a few skill guys. Maybe clean up some stuff, and they could be in it if they have those 2 or 3 skill guys where they can make plays and make things happen.
And as for Powell, just not even close to a finished product. You're starting to see new running backs emerge. Saw Jordan Brown get in the end zone tonight. You got McIntosh there. You got Baylor Hughes. You got freshman receivers, all kind of trying to find their identity and blend in with senior quarterback Walker Trusley. And Eli Owens was out tonight, number 44. He was in a walking boot. I was told that that's not serious, just kind of precautionary measure. He had some big touchdown runs in that game against Greenville, a really good linebacker. So we'll see what Powell develops into going forward. But as for J1 Mitchell and myself, Jesse Smithy, we're going to sign off here for 5 Star Live. I'm going to go home, start posting stories from all of our writers, photos, videos. So stay up late tonight, drink some Mountain Dew, drink some coffee, get on 5starpreps.com, check all of our content out. We'll see you guys in week 4, probably at West High School. We'll see. Thanks, guys.